If you want to hear the best face in radio, tune in to the least listened to talk show in all of America, The Breakdown with Aaron Barker. Go to www.breakdradio.com for all of the breakdown you'll ever need.
I saw your face last Tuesday.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just trying to explain why I actually did no smoking and no alcohol. Because people out there might even say, like, why should a kid know this thing, like these things, and why should a kid, like, understand this at a young age and things like that. But, well, we should understand because when we get older, we should know that not to smoke because that's really bad for your lungs and everything, and not to drink like a ton of alcohol. Because, like, my dad actually is good because he's telling me, like, don't drink a lot of alcohol. It's fine just to drink a little bit. But with smoking, like, there's actually kids out there that actually smoke, and people should, like their parents should tell them to stop or to try to spy on them and see what they're doing, what they're sneaking away, and try to stop them at a young age because it could affect their future. It could affect, like, who they're with or things like that. They might say if it's a boy, they might have a bad wife. If it's a girl, it's a bad husband. And they're, and the parents should look after their kids, and if they don't care, say if they smoke and the kids are getting influenced, it could, like, change them, their future, and it could change who they're around. And, some non-Christians could teach bad things to those who are Christians smoking, and it can draw them away from Christ, and that's just, one person away, and that's one person in hell and away from God, and they aren't worshiping the one true God. They're worshiping, they can be worshiping money, or they can be worshiping cigarettes. They can, be polytheistic. They could be, worshiping one God or something. They can be doing wrong things because of smoking or even drinking alcohol. So that's the reason why I wrote that. I want people to show that it's not good. This is what the Bible says, and show my argument, and not just have people keep smoking and more alcohol into their lives and things like that, because that can give you bad health, and that can affect who you trust and things like that.
So, Michaela, let me ask you a question. First of all, you're making your daddy cry right now. I just want you to know that he's over here. Do you need a tissue? Are you?
I'm just thinking maybe I found a new co-host for the show.
Michaela, so let me ask you a question. Does it bother you that your mom and dad might spy on you to find out if you're doing the things that they should be doing? Or only when you get caught? So if you get caught doing something that you shouldn't be doing, because I know that I know you're a good girl, and I'm sure that you never do anything wrong, but if mom and dad catch you doing something wrong because they were spying on you, are you okay with that?
If I'm doing something wrong and I know what I'm not supposed to be doing, then I think that might be okay because, I'm not doing the right thing. But if I'm actually doing it and I'm influenced in, temptation and sins, over me, then I might not. But right now, just thinking about it, I think it would be fine. And I'm encouraging parents to kind of make sure that their kids aren't doing the wrong things, and they're just doing right things, and their parents are responsible for that.
How old are you, Michaela?
I'm 11 years old.
So at 11 years old, you have already decided that you need to be doing right in the eyes of the Lord. Aaron, I think that's a pretty good argument for a Christ-based education at home.
Yep.
You don't really want me to say anything right now, do you?
Here's another tissue, man.
Well, okay, so my daughter has called in here and said that it's okay for her parents to spy on her. I would also like to say that I don't encourage her to drink alcohol now, and I'm only talking about when she gets older.
That's against the law.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's
Here,
good.
here you go, sweetie. You can take a sip of my beer. Just don't tell your mother.
Oh no, because I got
That doesn't happen.
That is amazing, Michaela. Thank you so much for calling. You know,
Well, we're not done. We're not
no,
gonna
I
kick
know.
her
I'm
off
just
the air
saying.
yet.
I'm not kicking her off the air. I'm just saying. First of all, you made your daddy cry, which is always a plus because he doesn't cry about hardly anything. And you know,
Oh no, he's a trooper.
yeah, he's a trooper. But you know what's really funny about this though is because you're so well spoken. You know, maybe we ought to have her on the radio show sometime, Aaron.
Well, that's I'm seriously considering getting a new co-host here. But so,
Yeah,
Michaela,
No, an additional, not new, additional.
What did you say, Michaela?
I need to get on the radio show, of course.
Well, of course.
Well, let me. You said something. You said something at the beginning, which I thought was a very good point, and it was about making kids aware now, even though they might not have people around them influencing to do this, but making kids aware now of these dangers so that when they are older, they know how to make appropriate and correct and right choices. Could you expand on that a little bit for me? Could you explain that a little bit more for me?
Well, with kids, they have bad influences because they have like bullies and things, and they say, "Well, you don't do anything cool." And some even middle schoolers kill themselves because bullies encourage them for doing that, and it's suicide. And they might even just do smoke to have a longer life, but still be like killing themselves and having bad health because they don't care about their life and they don't know Christ yet. They might not, but even if they do, it is very sinful. And even if they trust Christ and they're like, say they're baby Christians or something, and people need to like be by their side, like say if their parents are Christians, but they don't care if their kids aren't or not, that might not even be a Christian. So they have and probably not Christian. So they have to they're responsible for their kids, and they're responsible for trying to make sure that they do it God's glory. So they do some things, like some of the Ten Commandments, they don't do all. Say, like, one of the most important things that they don't do is the first commandment, which is honor your, like God is the only God. And some may even worship other gods and encourage their kids to smoke and do whatever they want, and that's not really good. And some even parents try to protect the kids from that, but things like that. And they might say they're Christians, but what if they're not? Even though they're doing right things doesn't mean they're Christians. And if they're not Christians, it can kind of influence their kids to do whatever they want if they don't care what their kids do or what they eat or what they drink or anything.
That's phenomenal, Michaela. That really is awesome, and I like the fact that you've thought these things through, because parents can sometimes get a bad rap. Their kids think they only want to stop them from having fun or prevent them from doing things that their friends are doing because we're trying to be mean. But as parents, we're trying to teach our children what decisions to make when they get in those situations. The worst time to learn how to shoot is when you're in the middle of a battle. The worst time to learn how to cope with peer pressure is when you're in the middle of massive amounts of it. Before you go in, you have to have your mind prepared with the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, the breastplate of righteousness, so that when you get into those situations, you're already able to make right decisions and right choices, which will ultimately glorify God, because you have trained yourself daily, all the time, to answer God and to do what glorifies Him rather than what glorifies yourself or makes you look cool in front of others.
That's an amazing thing, Michaela. I'm super impressed. And, I've told your dad before, I've always liked the idea that you guys are homeschooling and things like that. But, you have just reinforced what I thought I already knew about, the quality of homeschooling and what it does for, understanding. Your dad shared with me sometimes, how when he disciplines you guys, he tells you not only why it's bad, but, he gives you the biblical understanding, or even your mom gives you the biblical understanding of what you've done and why. and obviously that's taken root. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they teach me well.
Like whatever that kid's allowance is, you just got doubled. Michaela, thank you.
Michaela, download this podcast and save it for later.
Michaela, thank you so very much for calling in, sweetheart, and thank you for your contribution to the website. It's been well received, and your call has definitely lifted my spirits. I appreciate that.
And you are welcome in the studio anytime. Not as my replacement, but you're welcome anytime.
Well, I should be his real producer, though.
Oh, wow. She's bidding for my job, man. Well, I'll make you a deal. If you come in the studio, I'll show you what I do. How about that? I'll train you the right way.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so very much, sweetheart. I love you.